Okay guys, so I'm just going to show you a quick example of a quick basic meal that you can cook yourself using the items that I've already discussed in the previous video. There's items for basic cooking and eating, and I've got my rice cooker here, and bearing in mind I'm not a cook, so this meal is going to be pretty bland. If you're any sort of a good cook, you can buy all sorts of spices and make it nice. This is pretty basic. I'm no cook, but it's still food that goes in your stomach. I'm going to put rice in there. Now these rice cookers come with a small measuring cup. Believe it or not, that cup is plenty for one feed for me, because rice really does expand quite a bit. You'd be surprised how much rice you get out of a small amount. Here's a bag of rice here. This rice can last maybe a month, and it's still not even, well, it's about less than half full. I've had this for more than a month. Now if I scoop out a bit of rice here, not even totally full, that's enough for a meal for me. That's one bowl full. I'm going to put that in there. I do have to wash it. You put water in there, rinse it out, put it back in, and cover it with water. And all I've done is rinse the water out one time, emptied it out, filled it back in, so the rice is covered like that. That's all you need. You put that in, close the lid, make sure it's plugged in first of all. Now, rice cookers don't have on-off switches as such. They've only got two settings. Cook rice, and when I plugged it in, it automatically went to keep warm. You want to flick the switch down to cook. It turns off automatically and it's ready. Then you can keep it warm, but I normally unplug it and I'm going to eat straight away anyway. And I only cook enough rice at one time. That's enough for one meal. It's very easy to cook too much rice. Some people have rice in there which gets hard and so forth, but I use one bit of rice, enough for one meal, then wash the whole thing out, ready for next time. Now I'm going to set up my little hot water kettle, put a bit of water in there, make sure there's enough for one noodles. So that's enough water, just throw a bit more in, chuck it in there. I spilled water on the ground. I'll turn it on for now, but when it gets boiled I'll turn it off, just so it's hot when the rice is ready. I've got hot water to make my instant noodles. I'm going to put the plate over there and get the bowl out. I'm going to have a bowl, or this sort of bowl here, dish, and a bowl for the instant noodles. I've got my packet here of instant noodles. One packet, is enough for one time. Have that sitting there. Now my meat additive, I talked about adding meat to your food to bulk up the food. For example, 7-Eleven has these sorts of packets. They're called balls, okay? They're only called balls because they're shaped into round balls. So that's just beef in a shape. They're very popular food in Thailand. You can get this in chicken, fish and pork. I happen to like the beef ones. I don't know what sort of meat it is, who cares, but that's why I buy beef. It seems to be the nicest. And one packet, about 33 baht or thereabouts, just over $1 Australian from 7-Eleven. That's going to be my meat additive. I brought this earlier at the shop. I just buy it every day. It might be cheaper in Big C's or somewhere, I'm not sure. We'll leave that aside for now. I'm going to chuck the meat in just before it finishes, or even when it finishes cooking. If you throw it in, close the lid and leave it for a few minutes, there should be enough heat and steam to really cook it and sterilise it. It should be fine in a packet. I'm going to use up the whole packet. I don't have a fridge. I'm not going to leave it lying around, so one whole packet for one meal should be okay, but steamed up, it should be fine. Just be careful if you have meat lying around a bit longer. You may want to make sure you cook it more to kill all the bugs if there are any bugs. So enough to steam it up. Leave that there, and I'll come back when it's time to show you the rice. This kettle is an automatic kettle. It keeps warming, turns off and turns on. I'm just going to turn it off. You see how it turned off? The rice is still cooking, and when the rice is finished I'll come back and turn that back on to get it hot one more time before putting that on the noodles. So let's wait for the rice and I'll come back. Okay, so the rice cook is finished. It's clicked off from rice cook to warm. Yeah, that won't focus, but this light here is the warm light. Drop the balls in, just like that, bang, close it again. And you don't want to let the steam out too much. The steam's going to stay in there, and if you just let that sit for a few minutes, that should be enough just to heat up and cook these beef balls, these meatballs, sterilise them. And I can even turn off this rice cooker now by unplugging. As I said, there's no on-off switch as such. You just unplug it And if you let that sit for a bit, that should be enough for those rice balls. It's a fresh packet opened up, so they should be okay. I'm going to turn on my kettle just to get it boiled one more time. I'll put out my noodles here with the spices out. That's for the rice, and we'll come back. The kettle's just boiled again. I'm just going to switch that off, unplug it so I can reach over with one hand, pour that on the noodles. That's all you need for instant noodles, is to cover the thing up with hot water. Now you just let that sit. You can stir it up a bit, let it sit, and that's going to cook nicely there. I'm going to take out the rice and come back. Okay, I've scraped the rice out with the balls. I like to put some of these beef balls into the rice, just half like so. The noodles is coming along nicely, just like that. Put the beef balls in. I just put detergent and water in the rice container to cook it. They always come with a plastic spoon. You only ever use a plastic spoon to scrape this out so you don't scratch it. It's non-stick. Wash that out later. I've got the packet of chili from the noodles. I'm just going to put a bit on. I've already got a bit in there. That's enough for me. I don't like too spicy food. And that's going to be enough just to spice it up a bit. Okay, so here we are. We've got my plate of rice. I've got a bowl of noodles here. That's just about getting ready. Just stir it up. I just like to separate some of these meatballs into there. What I can do is put some of this spicy liquid over the rice, spice it up a bit, and I've got a pretty good meal just like that. This is just an option for you. Now, it's pretty bland. I'm not a cook, okay? That's not some great recipe. It's just a bowl of rice, some cheap meat to add into it, and instant noodles. It's an option. It's very convenient. I'm at home, no mucking around, walking around, trying to find food in restaurants and so forth, the communication barrier, and it saves my health as well. That's a third big reason for this. I know it's cooked. I know exactly what I'm eating. I've got a sensitive stomach. Even Thai people complain about getting sick quite often when they buy stuff out there. You don't know what you're buying. If it's old food, you might get sick and so forth. I'm never ever going to get sick in the stomach if I'm cooking myself like this. And the first big reason was saving money. Now, these balls here would be the most expensive thing. They cost 33 baht from 7-Eleven. And that's just another option for convenient, cheap cooking in Thailand.